All right, everybody, back, brand new Friday Review, one of my favorite shows of the week. I get to bring you research that I feel you should absolutely know about. And in today's case, one research study that I want you to know about that just came out, but that you want to be a little bit wary of. So we'll go over why that is, plus a brand new debut of a lab test that anyone in your family can run. Simple urine sample, the first of its kind, and clinically validated to show you, as I said, 3 years old and up, what your vitamin levels and antioxidant status is. Amazing debut. Can't wait to share that with you. Personomics tip of the week. But before we get to all of that, I want to share with you what you may have missed on the show. So on Monday, we went over why doing everything right still sometimes isn't enough. And that is a hard truth and a hard pill for all of us to swallow. But I want to share with you why there is good news there. Yes, there is silver lining and what you can do about it. All right, on Tuesday's show, we went over the top 10 ways to stop postnasal drip. I essentially gave you all the different things postnasal drip could be coming from, and then the reverse as to how to stop it, plus a persistent cough. That'll be an eye-opening show for a lot of individuals. Even if it's not you dealing with this particular health-based symptom, feel free to share it with, of course, someone that is suffering from that, because we all know someone with that persistent cough, and this might be why. That was episode 3679. On 3680, we went over why weight loss becomes so frustrating. We went through the different plateaus that almost everybody hits, at least at some point during their weight loss journey, and then, of course, how to overcome that as well, because we would never just give you the frustration. We always want to share with you the answers as well. And yesterday we went on to talk about how to produce more nitric oxide as you age. If you didn't know, your nitric oxide production goes down, which affects your mood, your energy, your mitochondria, sexual function, and so much more. Check out that show. They're all at stephencabral.com/podcasts. All right, today we're going to kick off with our product review of the week, even before our Personomics tip of the week. And that is because I'm excited because Equilife is actually debuting a first ever lab in the industry. And remember, we come up with our custom labs with amazing labs all around the world. And we're excited to reveal essentially the first ever vitamin and antioxidants test. It is a simple urine-based test, the first of its kind, to be able to share with you your levels of vitamins and antioxidants. And here's what it shows you. So if you're watching this on video, simple lab, ship it anywhere, almost in the world, literally all over the US, Canada, UK, Australia, New Zealand, and many more. And what it is it is a simple urine-based sample. As I said, you are just going to wake up and it's a first morning urine sample. That's it. It's about 30 ml, so a very small amount. It comes with a freezer pack. You just pop it right in its container with its pre-packaged shipping. If you're in the US, if you're overseas, typically it's shipped by FedEx. You get your results back within 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, you'll know your vitamin levels, antioxidants levels, and then also if you're taking too much of a certain nutritional supplement or too little of one, and it will actually tell you exactly what you need for you. This is true Personomics. This is true precision-based health, and this is the future, really, of all functional-based medicine. So excited to give that to you. What does it measure? It measures B9 folate-based markers. It measures B12, B6, B2, and B5. Why does this matter? Because if you're dealing with MTHFR issues and you're wondering, am I getting enough B vitamins? This lab actually shows you, right? It also looks at vitamin C, CoQ10, it looks at biotin, and it looks at methylation-based issues. So it's looking at N-acetylcysteine, methylation, glutathione, and so much more. So it's an absolutely amazing breakthrough lab. I can't say enough great things about the team and the science team over at Equilife. This is something that we've been working on for about 18 months. It took that long to get it to our community, but now I'm excited to say that it is here. And so what I want to do is I want to share with you a special link just for our community, and it will be available, I believe, this week at a nice special price during its debut. And you can find it at stephencabral.com/3682. I'll link it up there. And of course, if you're listening to this in the future, it'll always be available, just probably not its debut price. That's all. And then, of course, this lab is also available through Integrative Health Practitioners, level 2 or level 3. And of course, you're welcome to work with them as well. They have their own practice, no affiliation directly with me or anything we do at Equal Life. They might just use some of the labs and protocols, etc. All right. So excited about that. If you've ever been wondering about measuring your children's vitamin levels or your vitamin levels, now you can run this particular lab right at home and good for the whole family. All right. It's called the Vitamins and Antioxidant Test. And you can find it just at stephencabral.com/shop or for the special link today at stephencabral.com/3682, where all of our research will be coming up in just a moment. So Personomics tip of the week is this, is that more is rarely better. And this is a total coincidence. So more supplements, more workouts, more fasting, more cold plunging, more of all the things that you've been told are good for you are rarely better when done in excess. That's the thing, is that over fasting can cause as much issues as not doing an intermittent fast can cause. Not getting enough of your B vitamins is a real problem for mood and for energy, depression, and so much more, right? No doubt about that. However, overdoing your B vitamins is not good for neurological-based problems. So that's why more is not better. I like a small daily dosage that my body can use, typically taken with food, just as if I would get it through nutrition, but I'm getting a little bit more to deal with the stresses of life, with exercise, whatever it might be, what's optimal for my body. How do we know? We test. That is the future of healthcare, and it is here right now. We don't have to guess. We can know exactly what is right for us. All right, so more is rarely the answer. Overdoing a good thing is one of the fastest ways to create an imbalance. That's the truth. I've talked about this many, many times, but it is still the truth. So Personomics is about finding the minimum effective input that produces the desired response. That's if you've been a part of the IHP community, you know I'm always saying minimum amount for the desired effect. That's what we want. We don't want to overdo anything. Just because 2 grams of omega-3s is great doesn't mean 5 grams is better, right? Or back when I was coming up in the early 2000s, it was take a gram per percentage of body fat. It's like 20 grams a day. That's going to thin your blood way too much. That's going to be too many polys as opposed to sterols in the cell membranes. 2 to 3 grams is great. 10 grams is not better, right? So enough is powerful, but excess is noise and disruption to the body. All right, that's your Personomics tip of the week. If you haven't read Personomics yet, check it out at personomics.io/book. All sorts of free goodies there, such as the audiobook and much more, because I know people like to listen to books, which is great, but you should have the printed book because it has all the self-assessments right in it. Again, check it out at personomics.io/book. All right. First research study of the day. I told you that one of these I was going to share with you as a warning. I do this a couple times, maybe once a quarter at the most. But there was a new breakthrough discovery literally just yesterday. So I wanted to bring this to you, and it is called, I'm going to bring this up on my screen, Science, let's get the exact quote, scientists discover the hidden off switch for inflammation. Now, you might say to yourself, well, that sounds amazing, right? We want to turn off inflammation because then we won't be dealing with maybe the higher levels of cholesterol or blood pressure or whatever it might be. But I will tell you this, if we shut off inflammation, and I'm going to share the exact site as well with you, if we shut off inflammation, we have to understand that we then never found the underlying root cause. And if we never look for the underlying root cause, what we're doing is simply using a medication to mask symptoms, and that will, those underlying symptoms will rear their ugly head in the future as a different dis-ease of the body. It's why so many people start with high cholesterol and then end up with type 2 diabetes, right? And then end up with rheumatoid arthritis or Hashimoto's or any number of health-based conditions where inflammation is part of the core. Since they never worked on the underlying condition, then inflammation begins to pop up in other areas. And again, we already know that this is not the answer because they make biological drugs, and yes, I'm putting that in air quotes, already now. And those don't work, meaning like, sure, they do work for like plaque psoriasis or rheumatoid arthritis. So the pain goes down, which people appreciate, and I get that. But here's the issue. People can then be hospitalized for pneumonia and die from things like that because it's shutting down a big part of your immune system. So what I want for people is really the best of all worlds. I don't want you to have to suffer from the inflammation and all the joint issues or skin issues, etc. But at the same time, I want to look at not just the short term, but your long-term health as well. Okay, so that study is out of the University College of London, literally just came out yesterday. And it is called, I'll give you the exact name of the article in case you want to look it up, and I'll also link it up today just to make it easier for you. But this is called Epoxy Oxylipins Direct Monocyte Fate and Inflammatory Resolution in Humans, published in Nature Communications. So again, a reputable journal. It's not that it's not. And they talk about turning off specific proteins in the body and how that can affect, and you should hear how the experiment was done. It was wild. They literally injected E. coli. Now, again, UV killed E. coli, but they injected it in the forearms of these participants. Wild that people sign up to be experimented on like this, but I get it. Sometimes people are doing it for money or whatever it might be. But they had 24 people that did this, 12 got the placebo, 12 didn't, and they all got the injection under their arm, but then others got a subsequent injection or medication that stopped the reaction of the inflammation. Again, why I say that this is really not good is because your body is supposed to create an inflammatory response to a pathogen like E. coli, even if it is the dead bacteria inside the body, because it's foreign to not have that reaction. And for conventional medicine to think that this is a good thing is completely beyond comprehension. It is wild to me. It's literally whack-a-mole with conventional medicine. Oh, look, we didn't create an inflammation. Yes, but the body should have an immune response. It literally just got E. coli ejected into its forearm. So to think that that's a win is just opposite thinking of what integrative health practitioners and naturopathic doctors, hopefully most naturopathic doctors do. So you can read the study, but maybe you have a different take on it. Of course, I would love to hear from you. And again, there's all different gray space in between. I know we don't want people living with really degenerative inflammatory-based diseases. I get it. But if we never look for the underlying root cause and we use treatments like this, it's just going to happen in another area. And that is the truth. So, okay, I'm going to keep it at that for today. But again, I'm going to link everything up at stephencabral.com/3682. All right, now let's get to, I always end on a great study, right? So this study, fairly recent, it came out. It was a 4-year finding, and I'm going to give you the exact trial as well. And it was published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition. So again, very reputable. It was called Vitamin D in Marine Omega-3 Fatty Acids, that just means fish oil, supplementation, and leukocyte telomere length. I'm not going to go into anything with the omega-3s. I've talked about omega-3s so much. I mean, I really have. Omega-3s have tens of thousands. It's about 30,000 studies on the benefits of omega-3s. Anybody talking to you about the non-benefits of omega-3s is trying to be a contrarian. You can find anything about anything. I can find something wrong with blueberries. Like, trust me, like there's something wrong you can find with everything, right? But the preponderance of evidence, that means 99+% of the studies, all positive, right? So who might not want to take omega-3s? Well, people already, I guess, with a super high omega-3 diet, which very few people, right? Or people on blood thinners. So there's always a reason. But we're not talking about omega-3s today. We're talking about vitamin D. And this is really important. So let me just share with you, 25,000 adults are enrolled in this study. And it looked at just 2,000 IUs of vitamin D. So not even the dose which most adults need, which is double that, truthfully, double that. And omega-3s, which they took in a smaller dose over 5 years, about 5 years. And here's what they found. They found that a sub-analysis from the trial examined, so a portion of that, showed that the telomere length in the participants was actually kept lengthened over 4 years. That's an amazing thing. If you're not familiar with telomeres, it's basically the end caps on your DNA. And over the years, it can wear away. It can have then poor replication, which leads to greater aging and dis-ease in the body. So vitamin D alone, even at 2,000 IUs, helped with that. Let me give you a couple more. It showed that with telomere slowing compared to placebo, this was placebo controlled, there was 140 fewer base pairs lost over 4 years. So that's clinically significant, without a doubt. It also showed that low vitamin D deficiency is common in most adults, and that's why this even just 2,000 IUs was beneficial. It also showed that it helps support the immune system and inflammation control. So kind of going back to the previous study on shutting off inflammation, why aren't we looking at cortisol levels? Why aren't we looking at levels of omega-3s? Why aren't we looking at vitamin D3? Why aren't we looking at zinc? All of these things help with inflammation control, but proper inflammation control. So it did show that telomere preservation may also show a slowing of cellular aging, which is great for most people that are into anti-aging and longevity, which is really important. And it did show that most likely, again, more data needs to be seen on this, but very strong observational data links vitamin D with lower dementia risk. So even though we need more additional studies, there's almost no downside to adding more vitamin D into your supplement-based plan. You don't need to go overboard. Remember that Personomics tip of the week. If 4,000 to 5,000 IUs is great for most humans, 20,000 a day is not better. At that time, for a lot of people, it's going to be pulling more calcium into the bloodstream from the bones, hardening the arteries. We don't want that, right? There are many studies that show conventional medicine mindset. Here's what conventional medicine does. They'll give someone 50,000 IUs at a time once a week, or they'll give people 300,000 IUs. Remember, normal amount from the sun, 5,000 and 10,000. I'm going to do another podcast follow-up on this, how to get it from the sun as well, or a vitamin D lamp. But here's the thing. Normal sun exposure on a daily basis is 5,000 and 10,000, okay? 300,000 is getting all of your sun exposure from 1 to 2 months in one single dose. That's what conventional medicine does. That's what they've done trials on. That's when they show the calcification of the arteries. Of course, we don't want to do that, right? That's not natural health, but that doesn't mean vitamin D is bad. It means it's bad when you give 300,000, right, IUs. That's bad. All right, so hopefully this was helpful. I'm a little fired up today. I'm going to take a deep breath, work on some breath work, bring it back down, and I'll be back tomorrow on our Cabral House Calls where we answer at least 10 of our community's questions each and every weekend. Stay tuned, everybody. Have an amazing start to your weekend. I'll talk with you soon. Take care.